In just a few decades, South Korea has transformed from a developing nation with limited broadcast reach into one of the most influential television industries in the world. Television arrived in South Korea in 1962, with the launch of the Korean broadcasting system marking the beginning of a new cultural era. In its early years, television was tightly controlled. The government used broadcasting as a tool shaping national identity and maintaining authority during periods of political instability. By the 1970s and 1980s, additional networks emerged, including Moonhwa Broadcasting Corporation and Seoul Broadcasting System. But as the country democratized in the late 1980s and 1990s, television began to change.
Today, South Korea's television landscape is a hybrid of tradition and innovation. Major broadcast networks still operate, producing news, dramas, and variety shows for national audiences, but the way people watch television has fundamentally changed. High-speed internet, among the fastest in the world, has enabled a massive shift towards streaming.
Global platforms like Netflix and YouTube coexist with domestic services such as TV ING and Wave, creating competitive and highly accessible media environments.
Despite its global reach, South Korea's television industry remains deeply shaped by politics and economics. The government does not fully control media content, but plays an active role in regulation and distribution. Global services deliver massive amounts of content. Debates over network usage fees raise questions about who pays for the infrastructure that powers modern media. At the same time, the South Korean government continues to invest heavily in cultural exports, supporting what is now known as K-content. Television is no longer just entertainment. It's an economic engine and a tool of global influence.
In 2021, one South Korean series took over the world, Squid Game. Created by Hwan Dong-hoik and released on Netflix, the show was on a relatively modest budget, around $21 million, but what it became was anything but small. It stars Lee Jung-jae as Ji-hoon, a struggling man, alongside actors Park Hae-seo and Jung Ho-yeon, each playing characters pushed to the edge in many different ways. On the surface, it's a survival thriller, but hundreds of people compete in children's games, but the big thing is, if you lose, you die. Is that everything on the show feels so controlled, the sets, the colors, even the rules. Because underneath it all, Squid Game is about the realities of pressure, social pressure, economic pressure. South Korea has one of the most competitive economies in the world. Debt is common, job security is not guaranteed, and for many people, success just feels out of reach. And the characters in the show are just like us, basic workers trying to survive. Even if the setting is Korean, the fear, the desperation, the choices, it all feels familiar to us. Squid Game didn't just tell a story, it holds up a mirror and asks how far someone like us would go when they feel they have nothing left to lose.
More than a decade earlier, a very different kind of show brought Korean television to the global audience, Boys Over Flowers.
The show aired in 2009 on the KBS network and was directed by Jung Ki-sang. The series stars Koo Hye-sung as Jeondae, a working-class girl who finds herself suddenly attending Shinhwa High School, an elite school. Opposite to her is Lee Min-ho, playing the wealthy and emotionally complicated leader of F4.
The show is a romantic drama. There are grand gestures, dramatic confrontations, exaggerated expressions, and a world filled with luxury that feels just out of reach. Unlike Squid Game, the stakes aren't about life or death, but they still feel intense because underneath the romance, the show is about class. South Korea places a strong emphasis on education, success, and social standing. In Boys Over Flowers, those pressures show up in an exaggerated way. Boys Over Flowers became a gateway into Korean dramas throughout the world, helping to find a style and tone that will later evolve into something even bigger.
So, what comes next? South Korea's television industry isn't slowing down anytime soon. Streaming will only keep growing and pushing to audiences all around the world. And as technology evolves, so the way stories are told, through interactive formats, AI, and new kinds of production that we haven't even seen today. If history tells us anything, it's that South Korea won't keep up with these changes, they'll be in front of them. A mix of government support, advanced technology, and a strong cultural voice has turned television into something bigger than entertainment. It's become a form of global influence. From its first broadcast signal in 1962 to being at the center of global streaming today, South Korea's television industry has constantly evolved. It's a story of resilience, of connection, of innovation. It's a story the world is still watching.